Hi, moms. Welcome to the show. On today's episode, I'll be speaking with Jayne Havens, a mother who transitioned from being a stay at home mom, skilled at soothing her babies to sleep, to a certified pediatric sleep consultant. Today, we're going to talk about how Jayne turned her passion into a profitable business. Plus, we'll chat about how she scaled and she's now helping other parents become sleep consultants. And it's quite a lucrative business. So you don't want to miss this episode. Stay tuned. Welcome to Mometize Your Passion, a place for moms with big dreams and an eagerness to turn them into a thriving reality. Whether you're a mom seeking to monetize your talents, transition from a stagnant job, or explore a lucrative side hustle, you're in the right place. I'm Terralon, a wife and mom transitioning from a top 5% sales career to become the founder and publisher of Tinseltown Mom. I wear so many hats: former actress, current writer, celebrity blogger, certified life coach. And through it all, I've discovered the power of honing our gifts, learning from our past, and using our experiences to uplift others. Join me on this journey as we explore stories of successful mompreneurs, uncovering the roadmap to their accomplishments. I'll also be sharing actionable business and money-making tips to guide you towards concrete ideas for generating income. Here, my hope is that you'll find inspiration from God, encouragement, and practical insights to mometize your passion. So why don't you just first tell us a little bit more about you, your family background, and specifically what you do?
Sure. So again, my name is Jayne Havens. I am a certified sleep consultant. I support parents through the process of establishing healthy and independent sleep habits for their infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and beyond. I live in Baltimore, Maryland with my husband and two children. And I got into this line of work because I was a stay-at-home mom. I actually worked in special events. I was an event planner. And I quit my job to stay home with my son when he was born 11 years ago. And I was really happy as a stay-at-home mom. But after about 4 years of stay-at-home momming and with the birth of my daughter, I was burnt out. My daughter was a fussy baby and it was hard to be around her. It was really draining and taxing. And frankly, I was looking to go back to work. But everybody in my family had gotten really used to me being the primary caregiver and handling everything around the house. And it really felt hard to go back to work in the traditional sense. I was always really good at getting my kids to sleep. I sleep trained my son when he was 4 months old. It was a really magical experience, taking him from going every hour, waking up, needing a pacifier, to sleeping through the night independently, all by himself. And I did the same thing with my daughter, taught her how to sleep independently. And all of my friends sort of took note. They asked me for help. I would support them. It turned into helping friends of friends and friends of friends of friends. And I really did this work for free for a really long time before deciding to actually monetize it and turn my hobby into a business. And that's what I did. I think back in 2018, I decided to get certified. I took a course online. And what was intended to be a little side hustle to keep me busy while taking care of my kids turned into a really legitimate, profitable business very quickly. And I don't know, that's how I got started.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, how did you even learn? Because we've all gone through this as parents. Like I went through this as well, trying to get my oldest to sleep. And do we cry it out? Like, what strategies do we use? Now, how did you figure it out for your kids on
Yeah.
what to do?
Yeah. So as a first-time parent, I was actually really clueless. I had no idea what to do. And at the time, I remember walking into Barnes and Noble, sitting down on the floor, surrounded by a bunch of books, and I was reading through as quickly as I could. I bought a couple of them and brought them home and tried to get the gist for what each one said and how to implement. But I didn't have anybody really supporting me. I didn't have anybody coaching me through. I'm the oldest in my family. I have two younger brothers. So it wasn't like I had a older brother or sister who had been through it before. I really had to navigate the process on my own. And I ended up implementing something similar to the Ferber method with my son. And, he was upset for 27 minutes, and so was I. He cried through it. I cried through it. It was really hard. I'm not going to lie. But it was totally life-changing. I mean, he was upset for 27 minutes and then he slept through the night. And, the next night he was upset for fewer minutes and slept through the night. And each night it got easier and easier. And it really was just such a transformative experience that it led me to dig deeper and figure out all the different options for teaching babies to sleep. When I first got started and I was just helping friends and friends of friends, I was just helping them through what I did with my own child. I didn't have this vast knowledge of all the different methods and techniques. But once I decided to turn my hobby into a business, I really was committed to learning all different sleep training approaches. There are options for I don't like to use the word gentle because I think that's misleading. I like to call gentle sleep training, I like to call it gradual or parent present sleep training, where you sort of gradually pull back on the supports. I wanted to dig deep and learn all of that because not every family is going to be comfortable with implementing the more traditional approaches. And I really wanted to be able to meet families where they were and support them through methods that align with their parenting style and that felt safe and comfortable for them. So now I'm proud to say that I can coach parents through the really gradual stuff or the more traditional stuff and everything in between.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, because I remember back in the day, I mean, my kids are teens now, but I don't remember there being different options. It was like, okay, if you want your child to sleep, this is what you need to do. So that's awesome that you kind of cater it. Do you cater it just towards like what the family might want, or how do you determine that?
Yeah. So when I work with a family and they decide to I offer a 2-week consultation. And once they are onboarded, I write them a written sleep plan. And my philosophy, I like to give all the age appropriate options. So if I'm working with a 6-month-old baby, I'm presenting 3, maybe even 4 different options for teaching independent sleep habits. And I present all of them and I let my clients choose how they would like to implement. I always tell them which one would be my preferred approach and how I think it's going to work out the best. But ultimately, it's up to them. And I'm committed to supporting them through a process that feels right for them. It's not about me. It's not my child. It's not my home. And I really do feel that the way that I can get my clients success, the way that I can really get them that transformation is if I meet them where they are and coach them through a technique that they're comfortable with implementing.
So you were teaching this skill as a hobby for, was it months or years? Like how long?
Years. I
For
mean,
years.
years I was doing it as a hobby. Didn't even occur to me that this could be a business. My son was born in 2012. And really from like the time he was born and I implemented sleep training at 4 months for him, all the way through my daughter was born in 2016 and I didn't even start my business until 2018. So like for probably 5 to 6 years, I was just helping mostly friends, but it was also people who reached out to me because it was like friends of friends. So people that I didn't really know personally. And I didn't have a formal process. I wasn't writing them sleep plans. I would get onto a phone call with them, talk them through it, and then they could text me and I would answer questions and help them through the actual process. So I didn't have systems in place, but I was just sharing my knowledge.
That was so generous of you. So
Honestly, I loved it.
yeah.
Honestly, I really truly loved it. And I still do because, sleep training really does position a family to thrive. Parents come to me now, like in my business, I always say they come to me sort of like swirling the drain sometimes, like they're at rock bottom. They are not thriving at all. A lot of the time, there's resentment in their marriage because they're not on the same page about how to handle sleep overnight. Maybe one parent is carrying the entire burden while the other parent is sleeping peacefully. The parent who's up all night is resenting their child who's keeping them up all night. It really does. It impacts the family dynamic. And in a couple of short days or a couple of short weeks, I can really turn it around for them. And I thrive on that. It never gets old. I mean, I've been doing
Right.
it for so long. And every single time when I get those text messages, Benny slept through the night last night for the first time ever. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I could see how that could bring you joy. That would bring me joy too. Now, have you ever had a scenario where you were not able to get a child? Maybe they were neurodiverse or some, extenuating circumstance.
Yeah, so I definitely have clients who are not successful. People ask me this all the time, and I feel the need to be truthful about this. I think sleep training is very similar to like weight loss, right? You can hire a nutritionist or a trainer at the gym and still eat pizza all day and ice cream for dessert and not get fit, right? And
Mhm.
it's sort of the same thing with implementing healthy sleep habits for a child. Sometimes parents hire me and I think they sort of feel like, oh, if I just pay Jayne, she'll wave her magic wand and everything will be resolved and be perfect. But really, they have to do the work. They have to be willing to make a change in order to see a change in their household. And sometimes parents just have a really hard time with that and they're not able to make the changes that are necessary in order to see improvement. It happens, in a very select few situations, there have been medical things that have gotten in the way of children really having success with sleep training, but that is like so minuscule. I would say the vast majority of cases that come to me are purely behavioral. They're not medical challenges. And really, if the child's behavior is modified, if we teach them a different way to fall asleep, so for a baby who is used to nursing to sleep, if we can teach them to first be rocked to sleep and then be put down in a little shushing and patting and then put them down and walk out of the room, like they can learn how to fall asleep in a new way if being given an opportunity to try.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So now that you have this experience under your belt, now you're thinking, okay, now I need to turn this into a business. Like, what is the first step that you took when you realized this?
Yeah, so I just went online and I Googled like sleep consultant certification program and I enrolled in a program that was online, self-paced. I chose it because it was relatively reasonably priced and it was all online. I didn't need to fly out of town to take a training. I wasn't in the position to leave my family to go get trained to do this work. So I took an online course, got certified, and set up an LLC and had somebody make me a beautiful website and really just started talking about my business. Luckily, I have really, really supportive friends and family, and I have a whole social network of people who are really behind me, and they all shared my name. Some of my first clients were like my husband's coworker's granddaughter or something like that.
Yeah.
So really, it was like my own network that shared my name and my website, and people just like spread the love. And that's how I was able to grow a business. And from there, it was really word of mouth. Like most of my clients now, because I still do support families through sleep training, most of my clients now are just friends of people who have already worked with me. It's all just referrals.
Yeah. So at the beginning, you were getting all these referrals. You didn't have to do any marketing or advertising or anything like that.
So I definitely would network and connect in Facebook groups. That was somewhere that I was really comfortable. So I definitely found some clients in Facebook groups, but I would say that my own personal network was a really healthy place to start. And when I say my own personal network, it wasn't just friends, it was my daughter's preschool director. There are 3-year-olds in preschool who don't behave. And a lot of the time when they're having behavioral problems in school, it's because they're exhausted. So, these preschool teachers and directors, they know who's struggling with sleep because they're acting tired at school. So
Yeah.
my daughter's preschool director sent me a few clients. I have a friend who's a family photographer. She takes those beautiful little newborn photos. She told me that literally everybody walks into her studio and just complains about how tired they are. And she would just hand them my business card.
Mhm.
So, these are personal connections, but also business connections, right? So I worked really hard to make what I call meaningful and strategic connections with other people in the parenting space. So, you know, preschool directors, family photographers, occupational therapists, mental health professionals. I get a lot of leads from a therapist who supports moms postpartum. And all of those connections were really fruitful and continue to be fruitful years down the road.
hmm Now, that's great. I mean, because I feel like this is the industry where that's probably the best way to get your clients is through referrals. And
Yeah.
there's never a shortage of babies and toddlers who need to be
Yeah.
sleep trained, sorry, sleep
Yeah,
trained.
no, absolutely. People, now that I'm training others to become sleep consultants, one question that I'm asked all the time is like, is the market oversaturated? Are there too many sleep consultants? And the way I see it is like, there are literally tired families everywhere,
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yes.
Most of them are not getting the help that they need. And maybe that's because they're not ready to, or there's a number of reasons for why these families aren't yet getting help. But there are new parents being born every single day.
Right.
And actually, most brand new parents don't even know what a sleep consultant is. They don't know how a sleep consultant can help them. So I think it's up to us as the industry professionals to really educate parents that this type of support exists and
Mhm.
that you don't need to be up all night, sleepless, and not seeing straight for months or even years on end, that there
Yeah.
are solutions and there's support out there to help you make the changes that feel hard.
Right. So getting back to your business, now, how did you know what type of plan or curriculum to put into place? Like once you opened your business and said, now I'm going to charge. I know you said it's a 2-week program. How did you know like what that was going to look like?
Yeah. So honestly, it's evolved over the
Yeah.
years. If I look back at what I used to do, when I started in 2018 and what I do now, it looks a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? I used to tell my clients, it was always a 2-week consultation, but I used to tell my clients, we can talk on the phone every single day. All that I ask is that you schedule your call. Like, don't just call me randomly, but actually put it on my calendar, and I'm happy to chat with you every day. Now I'm at the point in my business, I don't have time for that. There's no way I could get on a phone call with every single one of my clients
Mhm.
every single day. I mean, I could
Yeah.
be supporting 8 or 12 families at any given time. Like, I don't have time for 12 phone calls in a day.
Right. Right.
Um, so my services and what support looks like has definitely evolved. I think in the beginning, I was just committed to providing the absolute best support that I possibly could. And I
Mhm.
had time to do it, right? I was a stay-at-home mom. My oldest was in school a full day. My youngest was home half, she was in school maybe a little bit. She was tiny, maybe half day, a few days a week. I don't remember. But like, I had time to really give 150%. And
Mhm.
now that I'm busier, my business is more established. I've sort of evolved, and my boundaries look different and my services look different and the way I support families looks different. I'm also better at writing sleep plans, right? Like the first sleep plan that I ever sent to my client, my very first client, I don't even want to look back and see what that looked like. Now several years later, I've refined my communication strategies. I've refined my process. I'm really able to communicate more effectively and give them all the tools that they need on the front end so that I'm not needing to answer 5,000 questions all week long,
Right. Right. So when you started the business, how long did it take before you're like, okay, this is a legitimate business. I'm going to do well. Like, how long did that take?
Honestly, for me, like month 2, I knew it was a real business. Like
Wow.
I think I earned about $5,000 my second month in business, like
Wow.
families.
How many families, Jane?
Well, I don't, I'm not great at math, but it
Okay.
was a lot.
I used to
I
be a
don't know.
math teacher and I still wasn't great at math. So
I don't
I,
know. I think it was a lot. I think it was, maybe I supported 12 families or something like that. My pricing was low at the time.
yeah, that's a lot of families to
But
support,
I
especially.
was not having a problem with finding clients.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
a
a
lot.
problem.
12 in the second month, 12 clients.
I can't swear to it. I'd have to look back, but
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know it was a lot, whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was like, my first month in business, I think I earned like $2,400. And my second month, maybe it was like $4,800. I really very quickly, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I was
Yeah.
literally making any money. So for me to even have that first month where I made $2,400, that was like a really significant amount of money to be coming into our family that we weren't used to having, right?
Yeah.
So very quickly I realized like, okay, this is something real. This is not just a little passion project. This is
Mhm.
a way for my family to have a higher income, like this
Yeah.
is very real very quickly. And honestly, like that was only the beginning for me. It's been so much fun to think of all of the new, interesting, creative ways that I can continue to grow, not just financially, but, as I said, when I first started, I didn't have systems in place to support
Yeah.
families the way that I do now.
I was going to ask that, like, what kind of organization and systems did you have there, I guess, versus now even?
So in the beginning, it was really embarrassing. I was not even using a computer. Like
Oh, I was going
I
to say, did you at least have an Excel spreadsheet?
No, and I still don't. I
Oh,
still
okay.
don't. I still don't. When I first started my business, I was using an iPad and my cell phone, and I would write sleep plans in the body of an email. So the subject would say like sleep plan dash Lucy dash 2 years old. And then the body of the email was the sleep plan. There was no like document attached. There was no pretty header. It was literally just like I sent them an email with the
Oh,
information.
I love it.
And I literally did that for, I think, 2 or 3 years before I got my
Yeah.
act together and actually started like getting on a computer and creating a pretty document and like sending them a PDF file. And, that just goes to show that when you're providing really good support and you're
Mhm.
getting people results, they really
Yeah.
don't care what it
Yeah.
looks like,
Right.
because I was not sending them anything that looked professional at all. And they just didn't care because I was getting
Yeah.
them results. Um,
Yeah.
and so now I'm set up with systems like I have a file on my desktop that literally says sleep plans and then there's subfolders and it's like 3-month-old babies, 4-month-old babies, 5-month-old babies, so I have all of my old sleep plans. And so if somebody hires me and they have a 2-year-old that's sleeping in a crib and it's a little boy, whatever, named Levi, chances are I actually have another little 2-year-old boy named Levi that I've already written a plan for. And if I don't, then I just make the small little changes. I change the details, the names, some babies use a pacifier, some babies don't. Some babies are breastfed, some babies are bottle fed. So, I make sure that I change all the details so that my sleep plans are relevant for the family that I'm supporting, but I'm not starting from scratch because I've written thousands of plans at this point.
Right. Right. So now you've scaled your business. You've done so well. You're in such high demand. So you have like two sides of your business now. One is you're actually giving the one-on-one personal sleep consulting to families. And now you're allowing moms, or you're offering that service for moms to actually become sleep consultants, right?
Yes. And to be clear, not all of our sleep consultants are moms.
I know. Just because of this program is for
Yeah,
moms, it's not
I
just for
know.
moms, it's
But
parents.
but I don't want people coming after me because
Yes, you're
we have
right.
men in our program and we have women in our program who are not
Yeah.
yet parents themselves. But a majority of those who are enrolled in Center for Pediatric Sleep Management are mothers.
Yeah.
When I first launched CPSM, I thought I would be marketing the training program to stay-at-home moms, just like
Mhm.
myself, who
Mhm.
wanted a side hustle or a passion project, something to do to earn some extra money while raising their kids. And we still have a lot of women enroll in the program that fit that profile. That being said, as our program has grown, we've sort of caught the eye of teachers, doulas, nurses, hairstylists, paralegals,
Yeah.
all sorts of people that are professionals. They're not necessarily stay-at-home moms, but they are either looking for an extra stream of income because they're not earning enough in their 9 to 5 to maintain their lifestyle, or some of them are hoping to be able to leave teaching or leave nursing or just stay at home with their kids and have a more flexible work-life balance. So our student
Yeah.
population is very diverse and they come to train with us for a variety of different reasons, but it's my goal to help them reach their goals and really inspire that entrepreneurial spirit that I think is deep down within not all of us, but many of us,
Yeah.
and really help them to figure out like, how can you create a successful business for yourself that fits into your existing lifestyle and that allows you to do all the things that you want to do in life, whether it's be present with your children or just have more work-life balance, whatever that looks like is what I want to help my students achieve for themselves.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that being such a great opportunity. I just remember for myself when I was on maternity leave working in corporate America, thinking, oh, I don't want to go back to corporate America. I want to stay home with my baby. This would have been a great opportunity because you can literally stay home, work the business at your own pace, and just thrive. So I love this idea that you're
A
doing.
lot of moms actually come and take our program during their maternity leave. It's a very
Mm.
common thing. I think
Mhm.
working women who are used to being busy and hustling and always having something to do, and then they're on maternity leave and they realize they don't necessarily want to go back to the office 5 days a week. They're on the couch cuddling their newborn and trying to figure out
Yeah.
how else can I earn some money without doing what I used to do. And a lot of women come take the training during maternity leave.
Wow. Now, how long is the training? Is it a course or are you actually teaching it on a webinar or something?
So it's pre-recorded. It's not a live program. You can enroll whenever you want. It's rolling admission and it's all self-guided, self-paced. There's no time, it doesn't expire. You don't have to finish it with any, I like to see people finish it in a couple of months, but you have lifetime access. I estimate it to be about 50 hours of coursework, but because it's a combination of reading and video content, it's really impossible to say, how long. Who knows? I like
Yeah.
to see people finish in a couple of months.
Yeah. So after they finish it, do you send them a certification? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So once they finish the course, they get a certificate of completion. And then also a little like badge if they want to put it on their website or social media saying that they are, in fact, a certified sleep consultant. And, the back end of our course is all about business building and entrepreneurship. So we teach you how to find clients, how to market yourself, how to get onto a phone call with a prospective family and talk to them in a way that makes them want to hire you. We teach mindset work inside of the program, which I think is so crucial because so many women, especially moms who aren't used to starting their own business, maybe they've never done that before. They have a lot of imposter syndrome. They have fear of failure. They're so wrapped up in, you know, how they're going to mess up that they don't even try to do things at all. Right. So we teach all of that inside of the program to really set our students up for success.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, I know you offer a certification for this. How were you as a business owner able to do that? Like, could I, as a business owner, say, oh, I'll allow you to get a certification? Like, what is that process like?
Yeah, so sleep consulting is entirely unregulated, if I'm being completely honest. It's actually the exact same as the doula field. Anybody can create a doula certification program and train you to be a postpartum doula. I think a birth doula as well. It's the same thing for sleep consulting. There's no governing body that regulates the field. So at the end of the day, when you're creating a certification course, you just want to make sure that it's evidence-based, it's comprehensive, that you're providing a whole lot of support, all the information is there. And that's exactly what I did. There's no overarching body that accepts or rejects these programs. Maybe down the road, there will be more oversight in the field, but ultimately what we do is parenting coaching. We're
Mhm.
just supporting parents through something that feels overwhelming and stressful.
Yeah.
And frankly, the only thing I think that where there's risk as far as sleep training is concerned is with safe sleep. Um, at least inside of CPSM, we teach safe sleep practices per the American Academy of Pediatrics. We're teaching our sleep coaches to coach parents through the process of establishing, safe and independent sleep habits for their babies. So really, we're mitigating all risk as far as anything scary or sad happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for you, as far as your business and scaling, is it just you by yourself or do you have employees? Like, what does that look like now?
It's largely just me. I have an assistant who is an independent contractor who works, I don't know, maybe 20 hours a week if I'm lucky. I'd love for her to work more. I have a virtual assistant who I use for like tech stuff on an as needed basis. I have a blogger who blogs for me so that my website gets to the top of Google, and he's amazing. So I have some people inside of my business. I have a podcast guy. I have my own podcast. So I have somebody who helps me to sort of piece together my podcast every week and get it uploaded into the podcasting platform. So I have some people that help me, but generally speaking, I am running this business largely by myself, sitting
Yeah.
at my kitchen table.
Yeah. And just for those listening who are thinking, oh, maybe I could be a sleep consultant. What does your week look like? How many hours do you work on average? Like, what is all that?
Yeah. So it's hard for me to say now because I have so much other work that's not sleep consulting,
Yes.
like
Mhm.
it really varies. But what I will say that is that supporting families through sleep training doesn't have to be something that keeps you so busy, especially if you're strategic about your clientele. As my business has grown, I've become more strategic. I prefer to work with older children, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, rather than
Oh,
infants. And
okay.
and the reason for this is twofold. One, I just think it's really fun to teach a 3 or a 4-year-old to sleep independently and through the night. It's so fun to see how proud they are when they finally do it. But also from like a time management perspective, these kids are in school all day, so mom isn't texting me constantly about
Yeah.
naps. We're literally just talking in the morning when the child wakes up, and we're talking around bedtime, and that's really it. So the more families that I support that are either older children that are in school, or I work with a lot, I'm working with a 5-month-old right now who's in daycare. So, he takes 3 naps a day, but I don't hear from mom because he's in daycare and there is nothing
Right.
to do there. Right.
Mhm.
So same thing with her. I'm chatting with her in the morning and a little bit in the evening. And that's basically it. Every now and then I have a client who is either a stay-at-home mom or it's a parent on maternity leave, and they're much more involved and in touch, but it sort of balances out because if most of my clients are not in touch all day and then you have one that is in touch, it's manageable.
Yeah.
I spend way more time, I would say, like laying the foundation to market my business than I do actually servicing families. I'm always connecting with professionals in the parenting space. I'm always connecting with other course creators to figure out how we can collaborate. That is probably what takes up more of my time than actually working one-to-one with families.
Right. And you're in such high demand right now that you can't take on so many clients. I'm a
Yeah, I think that it always just works out. It works out. Um, right now, my business, as far as like supporting families is concerned, it feels a little slower. It was really, really busy in the beginning of January because I think everyone was away for the holidays and they were celebrating, Christmas and Hanukkah and going away on winter break, and everyone was out of town, and then their kids got sick. And so like the beginning of January was really, really busy. And
Mhm.
then now I think I'm like through that rush and it's sort of calmed down a little bit. But I'm really busy with my students inside of Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. And then, who knows what the next couple of months will bring. It sort of ebbs and flows, but it always works out. And, I guess I am to the point in my business right now where if I do feel overwhelmed and I don't feel like I can take on another client, I'm really comfortable saying, I can help you, but I can't start with you until next week.
Oh,
And it took me a few years of being in business to feel comfortable enough to say that because
yeah.
I never want to turn business away. But
Mhm.
now I know that, if they want to work with me, they'll wait 5 or 6 or 7 days. And if they're not willing to wait, then no problem. There
Yeah.
are so many other amazing professionals, and I've trained a lot of them, and I'm happy to, give a referral and share a name or two, and it all works out.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow. Well, this is so wonderful. Is there anything else that you think would be helpful for moms to know just about this industry and just what you do and what they could do if it was something that was of interest to them?
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say is that, if you are a mom listening to this podcast and like you're not feeling fulfilled in some aspect of your life or your career, what I will say is that like I really connect with that and I felt that way too. And I think there's a lot of shame around that. Like, I had 2 beautiful children at home. I had an amazing husband. I had this amazing life, but I was feeling unfulfilled. I felt like there was something missing. And it can feel really scary to admit that you want something more for yourself, especially career wise as a mom. I think there's a lot of guilt around admitting that like you want to work harder and lean in and earn money, and what's that going to mean? Is that going to mean that like you're taking time away from your kids? um but it really is the most satisfying feeling to like go after your own dreams and live your own passion. And if you really are feeling called to do something for yourself, that will benefit your entire family. And I'm not saying that has to be sleep consulting, but whatever that is, that like you don't let that fester, like you actually take action. And I think your family will be better off as a result. My relationship with my husband is better since I've started working. I think there's less, we're on like a more equal playing field. We both work, we both help around the house, we both help with the kids. Like our dynamic feels more equal and fair. I think my children are really getting something out of watching me grow something awesome. I think that they're inspired by that. And especially for my daughter to realize that she can start her own business one day. She can be whatever she wants one day. I love that I'm modeling that for my children. And, my new motto is like, stop stewing and start doing. Just like,
Oh, that's good.
it's my new thing. Like if you're stewing on something, people will say to me, like, I've been thinking about getting my sleep consultant certification for 3 years. I'm thinking to myself, 3 years. Like, can you imagine where you'd be in your business if you would stop
You could have
stewing?
had 5 certifications in something.
Yeah, like you could have a serious business in 3 years. Like I was rocking and rolling after 3 years. Like, stop it. Just like take action, and don't feel like that's selfish. It's not. It will benefit your entire family if you're living out your own passion and your own truth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, where can people find you if they want to know more about the sleep consulting side where you can help them, or the business side if they're interested in being a sleep consultant?
Yeah. So if you have a child that's struggling with sleep, I guess find me on Instagram, snoozefest by Jayne Havens, or my website is thesnoozefest.com. If you are interested in becoming a sleep consultant, I would say the 2 best ways to connect with me are, I have a Facebook group called Becoming a Sleep Consultant, super easy to remember. And then I have a podcast by the same name, Becoming a Sleep Consultant. And the podcast is a great way to hear the stories of others who have been through the program, started their own businesses, are supporting families, and they're making it happen for themselves. And if this is something that appeals to you, you can hear their stories and maybe it would inspire you to do the same.
Hey moms, thanks for listening today. I hope you were inspired by this episode. If this show blessed you in any way, or if you found a strategy to help monetize a passion of yours, then I would love to hear from you by way of an encouraging review. This podcast is meant to be a blessing to mothers, so any positive feedback you can give would be so helpful. Until next time.